2026 seems to be the year of democratic socialism. Free healthcare, free transportation, free childcare, affordable housing, higher minimum wage, free Palestine. A lot of that might sound good to you. A minimum wage of $25 and free healthcare? Sign me up. Until you look at our country with over 350 million people and realize that just won't work. But the problem is, with people, young people coming fresh out of high school and college, those ideas look attractive to them. They could do minimal work while gaining a lot of benefits. I understand completely. I wish the world worked like that, but it doesn't. But because of these candidates' messages, they're winning all across the country. It really kicked off with Zohran Mamdani, the Ugandan-born New York City mayor. A lot of people on the right thought that this could only happen in very liberal cities like New York, so, there's not much to worry. Well, that's not the case. AOC was basically the original Democratic Socialist, or even Bernie Sanders, but Bernie Sanders is old now. He's not too much of a threat other than his endorsements. How he's still in Congress is beyond me, but AOC's young. A lot of people want her to be a president candidate in 2028. They want to see her as president. And people on the right laugh at that and hope that she's the candidate because they think it'll be an easy win. That's just not the case. You cannot trust that. These messages that these democratic socialists are pushing out are very attractive to young people. They sound very, very good. No matter how realistic or unrealistic they are, they sound very good. The ideas themselves, the messaging themselves, whether it works or not is a whole different story. And in my opinion, it's not really working. We look at New York City with Mamdani. He's delivering on some of his promises, like rent freeze. New York City approved a rent freeze the other day, which basically means there's a hard cap, 0% rent increase for any 1 or 2 year renewals. Now, that might sound good right now, especially for the tenants, but how about for the landlords who have business insurance, property tax, repairs? That's not frozen. They got to keep up with that. Not increasing rent in a high tax area, high volume area like New York City. They're going to start to pull out. They're going to leave these buildings unrepaired. You're going to see a lot of delays when it comes to utility issues. Investors aren't going to really invest in these buildings in New York City. The quality of life is going to go down in 3 to 4 years. I guess that's a problem for another guy. The messaging might sound attractive, but is it really going to work? That's just a whole different conversation. But once again, it's not localized to these very liberal cities or New York City. We saw in Colorado, which is a liberal state, Mila Kairos. Mamdani was born in Uganda. Kairos was born in Ethiopia. She won the primary for U.S. representative. So I'm noticing a good chunk of these democratic socialists, they weren't even born in America. And if they were born to immigrant parents. Now, is that illegal to run for federal office other than president? No. Sometimes I think it should be. I don't know how anybody, could be born outside of America and then run for federal office. It's in the Constitution that they can, so it is what it is. I just don't think it was a good idea. I wish that was one of the things I could change. If you're born in America and you want to run for federal office, obviously great, but born outside, I don't know, right? Because you're bringing these ideas, especially democratic socialism, which is almost completely opposite to America. That's 250 years old, the strongest country of all time. You're bringing these ideas from a smaller country, a much smaller country, to a country with over 350 million people, and think it's going to work? You're going to try to change the whole situation in America? Why not do that in the country you're from? Why try to bring these crazy ideas? Because they're attractive. They know it could win. They know with social media now, less work, free healthcare, higher minimum wage, it all sounds attractive. It's not good long term. We look at Minnesota, which has just been a mess these past 2 or 3 years. Omar Fateh, he ran for mayor for Minneapolis. Thankfully, he lost in the primary. I say thankfully, even though Jacob Frey, who's another nut, another crazy liberal, but not as crazy as Omar Fateh, thankfully he lost, but that was a strong messaging. He got a lot of endorsements. I was actually surprised that he lost. So it's on the rise, and there's so many other candidates. You're going to see a lot more young candidates throw their hat in the ring over these next few years up until 2028, and it's going to be popular. And when you keep getting Democratic Socialists elected, like AOC, Zohran Mamdani, probably Abdul El Sayed, then you have Hassan Piker. He's not a candidate, but he's a political commentator endorsing a lot of these Democratic Socialists, while the chances of more Democratic Socialists winning are going to rise. Zohran Mamdani is a very popular person in America. Thankfully, he's not eligible to run for president, but he's a very popular politician. AOC, who is eligible to run for president, she's very popular. Bernie Sanders, Hassan Piker, who's unfortunately has a lot of fan base. All these people that I mentioned too, have they ever said anything positive about America? Like, has Hassan Piker ever said anything positive about America other than making fun of it when it comes to 9/11? Simply calling for the downfall of America, supporting terrorists in Palestine. Have these people ever said anything good? I just never hear anything good coming from them. I don't know, maybe that's just me, but Democrat socialism is on the rise. If you're a conservative or just a normal liberal, take it serious. Don't think that it's a fad. It's just going to keep getting popular with these ideas. And if you want to try to combat it, well, get your messaging better too. People aren't smart enough to understand how bumping up minimum wage $15, $20 is not good for the economy. Freezing rent, not good for the economy. Free healthcare simply just won't work without getting taxed out the ass for the rest of your life. These people aren't smart enough. I don't know. They got to get educated. But hey, props to these democratic socialists because they know how to get their message across. They know how to attract younger voters. And, well, it's paying off for them, obviously. Let me hear your thoughts down below in the comments. Make sure to hit the subscribe button and leave a comment, leave a like. I'm out, guys. Peace.